The shack crouched in the woods, a hunched figure against the fading light. Twisted branches like skeletal fingers raked at its rotting timber walls. Wind howled through the gaps, a mournful, haunting sound. Locals spoke of it in hushed tones, if they spoke of it at all. The Shack of Shadows, they called it, a place where darkness lingered. No one dared venture near, not since the disappearances, each one a tragedy shrouded in whispers and dread. Some said the woods themselves claimed them, swallowing them whole in their silent embrace. Others, braver souls perhaps, whispered of the shack. A place of malevolent intent, they said, hungry for the living. The path to the shack was overgrown, reclaimed by nature. Thorns tore at clothing, roots snagged at unwary feet. A warning perhaps for those foolish enough to ignore the whispers. Yet something drew people here, some unseen force pulling them towards the darkness that resided within the shack's decaying walls, a darkness that was about to be awakened. Elias Croft, a man of words and ambition, stood at the edge of the woods. He was drawn to the stories, the chilling tales of the shack. Inspiration, he told himself, for the novel that would be his masterpiece. He ignored the prickle of unease on his skin, the cold whisper of wind that seemed to warn him back. The woods welcomed him with a suffocating embrace, the air thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. He pressed on, each step taking him deeper into the heart of the unknown. The sun, a pale ghost behind the dense canopy, offered little comfort. He found the shack with little difficulty, as if guided by an unseen hand. It was worse than he imagined, more menacing, more real. The stories hadn't prepared him for the sheer palpable aura of dread that clung to the rotting wood, the shattered windows that seemed to watch his every move. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the rustle of unseen creatures and the pounding of his own heart. He had found his story, he realized, with a thrill of mingled fear and exhilaration. But it was already becoming more than just a story. It was real, it was alive, and it was closing in on him. The first night was the hardest. Every creak of the floorboards, every sigh of the wind was a whispered threat. Sleep offered no escape, only vivid nightmares of shadowy figures and unseen eyes. He started his work, his typewriter a frantic counterpoint to the oppressive silence. He wrote of the shack's history, piecing together the fragments of local lore. A family torn apart by grief and madness, their spirits now trapped within these decaying walls. A darkness that seeped into the very foundations, corrupting everything it touched. The days blurred into a cycle of writing and paranoia. He felt a constant presence watching him, toying with him. Objects moved, shadows shifted. He dismissed it as tricks of the light, the wind playing games in the dilapidated structure. But doubt, like a seed planted in fertile ground, began to grow. One evening, he stumbled upon a hidden compartment beneath the floorboards. Inside, a leather-bound journal, its pages brittle with age. He recognized the writing instantly. It was his own, yet not his own. It was the manuscript of his novel, the one he was still writing. The words swam before his eyes, each one a chilling echo of his own thoughts. It was his story, yet written in a hand that was both familiar and utterly alien. The details, the characters, the plot points he had yet to commit to paper, all laid bare in this impossible manuscript. Panic clawed at his throat. He had to leave, get out of this cursed place. He slammed the journal shut, the sound unnaturally loud in the oppressive silence. As he did, a name seemed to leap out at him from the page, scrawled in a hand as dark and twisted as the shadows that danced at the edge of his vision. His own name, Elias Croft. His blood ran cold. This was no longer just a story, no longer inspiration for his novel. This was something far more sinister, something that defied all logic and reason. He was trapped, ensnared in a web of his own making, or perhaps something else's. He had to escape. But how? The shack held him captive, a prison of his own fear and the chilling reality that was closing in around him.